case you get smithereens, which are even more dangerous? Do you have any other way of nudging it into some other orbit? And the technology does not exist yet, but may exist better within the next 10 years. And so we may be, it may be a problem to which we will find a solution. Over to Lehigh for a question from their end.
Thank you. My name is Cameron Copeland. My question is regarding nuclear power in space. What are the concerns at launch and with reentry of satellites with radioactive material in high levels of the atmosphere?
I thought there was a treaty on that.
This is really a terrific question, because what you've done is you've identified yet another way that developments in the realm of science and technology are pressing the frontiers of law. Law has usually played a kind of a reactive role. It's responded to something before it happens. And what law is increasingly being called upon to do now is to take more of an anticipatory role of acting to prevent certain things from happening. Now, we're very fortunate that we haven't yet had a satellite blow up on a launch pad that has a nuclear power source in it. Many of the satellites, many of the space vehicles that we have that do contain this nuclear material. By the way, the material is called plutonium-238, which is extremely toxic. It's one of the most toxic that exist. And it's especially damaging if it becomes vaporized or made into very fine particles of dust which can be breathed. If they can be inhaled, then you have a horrific environmental and human security threat. There's no question about that. The Union of Concerned Scientists and American Federation of Scientists and Federation of American Scientists have looked into this problem in great detail, and as have scientists at Princeton University. And one of the things that they have recommended is that there be a understanding among states that they should only use nuclear reactors in space for purposes of deep space exploration, where you're sending spacecraft all the way to other planets, or where there would be essentially no danger of that material coming back and orbiting the Earth again. They seem to have high enough confidence that it's possible to launch a rocket and to protect the reactor in a way that it would retain its integrity in case of a disaster. But obviously there's a trade-off of risks and benefits involved that have to be weighed. I don't frankly know whether you can design a reactor that can withstand an exploding rocket. I frankly just don't know the answer to that or not. But it's a terrific question, and we'll have to think about it more after the meeting today.
I think we are coming to the end of our video session, but can I make a comment and ask you to comment on my comment? Given the fact that we have something very interesting and very dangerous in outer space, I am surprised that it should be of such secondary interest to the Department of Disarmament, which is far busier with small arms and nuclear weapons on Earth, and not worrying too much about outer space at all. This is one item out of the 10 items on the Conference on Disarmament, and the only country that was really pushing was India. And so how come that this whole thing doesn't worry you, when obviously it is of great worry to all of us?
Well, it's a very interesting question. The office that I work in was recently renamed the office. We used to be the Department for Disarmament Affairs. The Department of Disarmament Affairs is a very, very, very small office in the UN. Just to give you some example, our budget each year is less than what the UN spends on cleaning services. So we have all the work we have that we can do. We work on nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons, a little bit on missile technology. We also have a program on conventional arms. But we essentially don't do anything at all, as far as I know, on space weapons. Now, why is that? Well, first, what we do in our office is a function largely of what the General Assembly asks us to do. If they give us people and budgets and money and positions in our bureaucracy and tell us we want you to do space weapons, then we do it. But unfortunately, we haven't had those kinds of mandates coming from the General Assembly or from international treaties. And we can't just go and say, hey, gee whiz, this is a great idea, we should do it on our own and pay for it out of our own pockets and create our own mandates. The Secretariat doesn't work that way. We have to deal with the world that our member states give us. And unfortunately, although there has been some enlightened states that have that clearly recognize the stakes involved. I mean, you take the let's take the case of India. A few years ago, an Indian satellite was blacked out. It just it stopped operating, and it shut down the Bombay stock market for a few days, and it led to billions of dollars of loss in economic investments. Another satellite fell apart in the United States and caused some a blackout of basically the U.S. Electronic pagers. Again, you know, the huge economic consequences. So states are aware of the need for greater controls in this area, but they just haven't. There's very, very little infrastructure, both here in the UN Secretariat and elsewhere. The mandates that have been given the UN have been very, very restricted to registering space objects and to promoting peaceful uses in outer space. We don't have any specific mandates in the area of space weapons.
I leave it to you at Metro to close this session from your end.
Thank you, Ambassador Kamal. I'd like to thank our guest, Mr. Rydell. I'd like to thank also our partner institutions, Mercy College, Montclair High School, Lehigh University, and Lock Haven University. For Fairleigh Dickinson University, Metro, signing off.
Thank you very much, and on your behalf and on my own, I'd like to thank Mr. Rydell for taking time off and coming down from the limits of outer space in the UN, which is the high floors of this building, to be with us. Thank you, sir. Until we meet again, goodbye from the Ambassadors Club at the United Nations. Goodbye.